Welcome back, everyone, to the Hornpod, the Horn Pedagogy Podcast,
where we put the fun in fundamentals.
We are your hosts. I'm John Turman.
And I'm Danielle Kuhlmann.
And today's episode is all about practice. Oh my God. We're going to talk about how to practice as from the lens of a horn player, but this could definitely apply to any classical musician, even some just skill development in general. So if you have a friend that needs to practice, make sure you share this link with them. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment for the algorithm on your favorite practice tip. All right. And with that being said, we have a lot to discuss here, everyone.
It's been a while. Sorry, everyone. All our fans have been clamoring for another episode.
And we love that. We love you, fans. And so Danielle moved. You can see we are in a brand new studio. I love it in here.
This is the Hornpod studio, aka my basement. And it is awesome. Yes, I moved. It was the holidays. It was a lot going on. So we just took a little breather. We kept scheduling a pod recording, and then we were like,
I can't do this. It's too much. Exactly. And
which we love. No, everyone loves to cancel.
Right. Everyone loves to cancel plans. But we wanted to bring more of this pedagogy to you guys as soon as possible. And now we have different lights. We have our sign. We even have mic flags, y'all. Look at this. Wait. Little ASMR moment there. And I love this studio. It is so much fun to practice in. When we were in our old studio, you might find those pictures online. It was like a quarter of this size. So
we have space. We have acoustics.
Oh, we do. The acoustics are so good. I was warming up in here, and I was like, oh my God, this is way better than my practice room that I practice in at home. So much better.
We're excited. We're also just happy to be back together.
Yes.
We're together so long, every day, so.
But to talk about horn pedagogy again, it's always very inspiring when I get the chance to talk with you, Danielle, about this sort of thing.
I know. It's been great to have these chats, and I've really been enjoying this podcast. So I'm just excited that we're getting back to it.
Me too.
We have a lot of episodes to get to, so we do need to get back on it. Our list is long, so we have some things to catch up on. But yeah, what have we been up to in these last few months?
In these last few months, playing-wise, we just got done with a Carmen run. We played, Carmencita. We killed that Carmen so many times.
Yeah, yeah, she did. She did perish.
She did perish. Any favorite licks from Carmen?
I really like that one. What's the little ditty you had at the end of...
Oh. Hold on, wait, this one. At the very end of one of the first ones.
That's the one.
Marked triple piano.
Good every time.
It was so fun.
Made me very happy.
Just a little. I got a little. I loved it getting that little because Danielle was sitting second for this one, and we were stacked, and so I kept getting a little. It was very, very cute.
Yeah, we had a good time. I don't know. I can't even remember what we did at the symphony for the last few months because I can't remember what happened yesterday. But
they did Rick Ross.
They did do Rick Ross.
And we were not
there, which was sad for Rick Ross.
It was sad for Rick Ross. Yeah, he really missed out. Well, apparently the backstage smelled like a little bit of that devil's lettuce. And by the time we got there for the next Pops show, we were like,
ooh. They probably had to deodorize. They had to use that HVAC, state-of-the-art HVAC system.
And some of our older colleagues were,
the pearls were clutched.
Goodness, so
the
good.
pearls were clutched.
But that means it is a fragrance-free workplace, mind you. But still, it was like, oh my goodness.
What else have we done?
We've been working with Shan, our new MD, new mommy. She's so good. I absolutely love her.
We love her.
And she loves me and Danielle. She's like, every time I look back, you both are looking up.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I love that.
So
we do look up. We are exemplary section, back row horn players.
Very much that vibe. We're locked in. And she is the kind of conductor that will cue so frequently and just be locked in on the score. Just, okay, you're there. And
she
she connects.
Cues, everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does that.
Me either.
And thinks about other things.
Yeah, and things line while queuing. I'm like, what the? Okay.
Yeah, we don't know.
And you can cue with a head nod or like a sup. That's one of her favorite things to do. She's like,
I see you.
Yeah.
It's kind of the perfect horn cue because, like, you don't want. It's like I remember Simon Rattle had a famous quote, right? He's like, "Don't look your horn player in the eye. Like, never look them in the eye because But it's nice. You want to be acknowledged. Like, yes, I'm here. Yes, you see me, but don't watch me while I come in on this entrance. No, thank you.
Oh.
But yeah, that's been really fun to work with her. We're going to work with her next week on Alt Gershwin program. Then we do Mahler 7, and then we do Beethoven 9.
Oh my gosh, Beethoven 9.
Big moment.
Yes, well, it's my big moment to be assistant fourth horn, so thank you.
It's like every third horn player's dream to be the assistant for.
It's so good.
I got to give you a few notes
Da,
here and there.
da, 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 da. So good. I wonder what tempo she's going to take. I'm stoked.
I know. That's what's kind of fun for me because, we used to play Beethoven 9 every year,
We did.
which I'm actually
Like New
completely
Year's
fine that we
Eve.
don't do it. Yeah, every... Oh, my dryer's done.
Awesome. That probably couldn't even be heard on the mic.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay, well,
yeah, because
sorry.
it's picking up like...
We're in my basement, so I heard that my laundry is done. Yeah, that's one of the most fun things about Beethoven 9 because we used to play it every year. I didn't like it because it was right after our vacation, so I have never get to just enjoy my vacation. But now we just sprinkle it in instead. But it was fun to play it every year because I would get to play with so many different conductors, and it's always different, which is both fun and also a little bit like, ooh.
Right, well, as a fourth horn,
Some
it's
people
like
are
the
like,
biggest
give you
moment.
no time.
Yeah,
they're like,
they
let's
really
go,
don't.
girl. Like, this is no solo.
Yeah,
Yeah, like go move. But some people really let you take it, and I do. My favorite one was, and I think it was Kachun Wang, who he looked back as if he were going to give me the solo bow, which is generally traditionally like the fourth horn will probably get the first solo bow in the horn section, and then he like felt awkward, I think, and he gave Jeff, the principal, he gave him the first solo bow.
That.
Then he gave me the solo bow, and then I don't think he knew what to do, and he just gave you a solo bow.
Yes.
And then he gave Jenna a solo bow.
Just like, okay.
And then there was just the assistant left, so he also gave Jean a solo bow. So everyone in the section got their solo bow. Principal, fourth, third, second, assistant. It was hilarious. To this day, it makes me laugh. So we'll see what happens.
I'm so excited. Also excited for the Turkish march at the end. I love the...
Oh, it's so fun. We have so much fun playing that piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a good time. It's a really nice little third and fourth Hornpod moment.
Well, now that we've caught up officially, do you think it's time for a little horn find?
Horn find.
Oh
It's
my
been
gosh.
So long. And I have so many.
Oh, I have a few for you too. And I have some students some fans of the show that have even provided some.
Oh my gosh.
But
maybe
first,
we should do like one for me,
we should
one for
alternate.
me.
Right. I love that.
Like
today.
For
what? Today?
Let's do two horn finds. We have so many horn finds.
Okay, let me find my.
I know it's going to take me some. Okay.
All right, so I have a horn find for you this week, actually. So,
I'm so excited.
The context of this is if I say the country, it might give it away.
Okay, don't
but
say that.
it is a musical instrument.
Okay.
Related to the horn, and it holds a Guinness World Record. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I want to get these.
What's happening? Okay, that is a very large Alphorn. It looks like a fence. I feel like it's a decorative railing at a viewpoint off the turn-off in the Swiss Alps. But I like that there's also a person standing on top of it playing a regular-sized Alphorn. I don't know what's happening here.
So
I like it.
It's
weird.
Okay. It's a weird, like it's a little off-putting. It looks almost like AI generated because it's so fantastical.
It reminds me of the Bombardier, whatever.
Oh yeah, Bombardilo, Crocodilo.
Bombardiro crocodilo.
It's giving very that. Well, so this is the world's largest Alphorn, 67 feet.
Is it playable?
It is playable. It is the world's largest playable Alphorn, 14 meters, makes a stop in the Bruni area. Walti Segrist plays traditional sounds on the Alphorn as well as rock and pop classics.
Ooh.
The Alphorn is accompanied by Heli Kumpush, who plays the trumpet.
Trumpet should not be the accompaniment for Alphorn.
Well, the title of this post is Superhorn.
Superhorn.
The world's biggest Alphorn, published in 2023.
Okay.
By the Berg Lodge restaurant, Ristis.
Because, I mean, honestly, probably most Alphorns are hanging on the wall in a restaurant, if we're being honest. But I love that. It's so big. I feel like some creatures probably crawled in it. Oh my God, because one time a friend of mine in New York told me he left his French horn out overnight, and then, I think I already told this story on the pod, I feel like. He left his horn out overnight, and then the next day it was stuffy, and he blew really hard, and a giant dead spider flew out the bell. So don't leave your horn out at night after you practice.
How big was the spider?
It was a big spider.
Like?
I mean, it was blocking the horn. I mean, not like a tarantula. But, you know,
Okay. I mean,
probably a big
tarantula,
big
that's substantial.
So I feel like some creature would probably crawl in there, but it would be like a marmot.
Furry little critter.
Furry little marmot, and then it would be like,
We'd just be vibrating and like,
Yeah.
whoa, what's going on? And it'd probably it'd probably just like scamper out.
Yeah.
So it's not as quite as demonic and shocking and just demented as the horn finds that we're used to, but I feel like it would be kind of, just a fun little
that.
whoa, maybe like a shock
unexpected.
value of like the scale. So.
and educational. Now we know.
And if you have any horn finds that you want us to cover or blind react to, go ahead and send them to hornpod@hornhippiemedia.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk all about how to practice.
The Hornpod is brought to you by Genghis Barbie, the world's leading post-feminist pop French horn experience. Check out genghisbarbie.com for recordings, merch, water bottles, t-shirts, experiences, concerts, everything you want to know about the Barbies. Check us out at genghisbarbie.com.
The Hornpod is brought to you by Horn Hippie Media. Music, education, and media production solutions. Loving the pedagogy on the pod? Head to hornhippiemedia.com and download the Horn Hippie warm-up routine today. This warm-up features all kinds of exercises from breathing to buzzing to flexibility and even horn player affirmations. Visit hornhippiemedia.com today.
And we're back.
Welcome, everyone. Now it is time for us to get into the discussion of practice.
Yes.
How, what, when, where,
why,
who,
with what,
with
and how,
whom,
and
yeah. So,
anyway.
let's describe it for like a beginner. So, when you practice, what should you do?
Well, I think the most important thing that we should start with is let's get ourselves in the right headspace to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people want to skip, this is just like fundamentals. A lot of people want to kind of skip the basics of practice, which is like, did you eat enough? Do you have a good, comfortable place to sit and a good space?
Yeah, the
you're in
space setup
school,
as well.
You don't always have a lot of options, we understand. But, find yourself a good space to practice. Make sure that you're ready to do it. Make sure you have all of your materials. Make sure that your horn is spit-free and oiled and greased and all that good stuff. I was just telling John, sometimes I'm guilty of waiting longer than I should to oil my valves or empty my spit or something because I'm just I just want to get to the other stuff. But it's important that your horn is in good working order, especially when you really start to work on details. Making sure everything is all in its place is a really important part of that, because when you start to get into really detailed practice, having a little spit in your horn can really throw things off, or whatever it is. You make sure your horn's in tune, all those things. Make sure you're comfortable so that you will sit and practice for as long as you need to. So I feel like that's sort of the fundamental. You have to be in a good place. And mentally, this is one of the most important things. People, I feel like, ask me about this a lot, is sort of what do I do when I really I'm in a bad headspace. I don't want to practice. I'm burnt out. I'm distracted. Whatever it is, how do I practice? Honestly, I would say I feel like it's better to not. If you're in a really bad headspace, if you're just, you need a break, you're tired, you're just, I had some dark moments on the horn in my career where it's almost the sight of it is ugh, I don't even want to see it. If you're in a really low place, you probably need to take a break, and maybe step away and find a way to reset mentally, spiritually, whatever that is. Could just be a snack, honestly. But yeah, make sure you're hydrated and then come back to it again later if you have the luxury of choosing when you practice. If you don't and you have to practice, which we've all been there, again, just taking, even if it's 1, 2, 3 minutes to just do a couple of deep breaths, make sure you drink enough water, and just trying to relax your nervous system so that you feel settled, so that you can breathe, so that you can focus on something. That is the only way that you will actually get going if you must practice. But if you have the luxury to take a little break, I always do that because you want to get good quality practice, not the quantity practice. It's really about the quality. What you can do in an hour is much better than what you can slog through in 3 or 4 or 5 hours a day. We don't need to be doing all of that.
Right.
If you could get it done more efficiently.
Exactly. The timing, I remember as a beginning horn student and taking it all the way to beginning band, we would have like little practice records that you would, bring home, have your parents initial that you practice for this amount. Yeah. And we know some of you might have fudged those in Westridge Middle School to get that 100% in that class. But what that does for a beginning student is to start to build it into their routine. Building it into like your daily, it's just like you would, to take care of yourself, to brush your teeth. Okay, I'm going to practice for 20 minutes this day. And by slowly doing that and just adding a little bit of practice over a consistent week, over 1 week, over a month, then you can start increasing the duration. So 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and you can cover a lot in that time. And by spacing it out, spacing is the key to encoding. Cognitive psychology tells us. And that's why when I'm, instructing, especially beginners, it's just practice a little bit each day versus practice a lot on one day and then take a break the next day and then hit the horn again.
The consistency of your practice is so important for so many reasons, but it is important to try to play as frequently as you can day to day because, we're building muscle memory. And if you practice, 3 hours one day and then don't play for 4 or 5 days, I don't do that. But no, if you do it that way, then you're going to lose some of that muscle memory that you're building up. So doing it every day and building that up, even for a beginner, like you said, even just 20, 30 minutes a day, every day, rather than an hour here, 3 days later, another hour. We want the consistency of practice to really start building that. And also you can really start to learn, where does the French horn fit in my day? If you're waiting till the very end of your night and then trying to practice for 20 minutes and you're just like a zombie, maybe that's not working for you. So maybe try it a different place. Try to practice right after school or even in the morning before school. This is for students. Or whatever. If it's work, if you're an enthusiast and your job is not playing the French horn, like maybe you need to find time elsewhere or find a fun room at work that you can play the horn in during your lunch break. I don't know, but finding out where does it really fit in my routine to do this consistent practice.
Where does it fit in as a professional musician? Is there a time of day that if you could practice at the same time of day, what time would that be?
I like a good mid-morning because first thing in the morning, like it's going to take me a minute to kind of like wake up. And also I have small children, so like getting them to school or whatever their activity is going to be and getting them out of the house. So then I feel like once my morning is sort of done, then I can focus on myself and I can kind of get my stuff. So if I have the day off, that's usually what I would do is mid-morning, because that also gives me time. If I need a lot of time to practice, I have that time in front of me. If I can just get it done, then I'm done and I have a day to do other things.
Right.
If I wait, if I have something looming in the distance, like if I have to think about my practice and fitting it in, to me that's less relaxing for me, I guess. And I will feel more stressed out about getting the practice done. So I like to kind of I think closer to the beginning of the day as a goal, if it's possible. That's if I had a day off. If we work, then you fit it in when you can, and you get show up to work a little bit early and try to get some time in there. And it really is piecemeal for me these days because of my kids.
During the work schedule, it's usually like trying to get to work a little after 9 and then getting a really solid fundamental warm-up is a really good way to just work that practice into my schedule. And then outside of that, if we have a double, I usually don't practice because third horn, you're working hard. We're working a lot. We're playing loud, playing
depending
soft. Depending on the rep, right? And so that's also the balance as well. Like you practice more when there's not a whole lot going on. And what I like to do, I like to find little projects to like work like in my practice goals. Like, I want to play this piece by this. I want to keep challenging yourself and keep striving to learn new rep and new things and by like chasing down rep, maybe that's like due to my upbringing as a horn player. My first teacher, Dr. Thomas Hale in Austin, Texas, he would always just throw like the crazy solo on like the Weber Concertino to like a 7th grader. And he's like, all right, learn this. And I'm like, oh, it's E.
No wonder you can do what you do.
Right. The first lesson, he was like, oh, here's the Mendelssohn Nocturne. I want you to play this for me next week. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
It's an E. Have you ever transposed before? And I'm like, no,
Say
what's
what?
that? What's that?
I think it took me that more years than that to understand like what horn and F meant.
Right. It's like,
what does that mean?
Since I'm kind of, reminiscing a little bit, I want to dispel the myth that like when you're not practicing, someone else is. There's a little bit of truth to that, but it's like that can be lead someone down such a toxic path of like, I have to be practicing like such a great amount of hours in order to like be the best and in order to like secure my spot as a professional horn player later on in my career. That's not the case. And by like saying, oh, I need to practice like this like 3 hours every day,
right,
that's focusing on the quantity rather than like focusing on like the quality and getting things done. And what really helped me when I was auditioning in college and doing that really intense work on materials for orchestra in chamber music, using a practice journal and trying to organize my practice in a more delineated way was immensely helpful. I really attribute that to my audition success, actually, is like keeping a really strict practice journal with times and like exercises. And it's just another way to encode what you're doing on the horn into your brain.
Yeah. And that, doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
But it can be so helpful. So this is one of the awesome things is like finding the things that work for you that make your practice successful. Like for me personally, the practice journaling is overwhelming and does not work for me. It kind of backfires because I get a little too in the weeds about it. But for it to organize for you to organize your focus and your thoughts is perfect. So I feel like finding what it is for you, like the kind of practice that works for you. For me, I need a lot of time. I've noticed so I have to actually carve out more time. If I want to practice for an hour, I probably need 2 hours just to because I need a lot of breaks and I need to sort of, in order for myself to really get into the zone. So kind of, finding out what it is that is going to help you to practice in order to get better. And we will talk more about like the actual practicing a little bit later. But yeah, it really depends on your life circumstance and, how many hours you have in the day and what space you have available to you and all those kinds of things. So, yeah.
Like so if you're a student, where to practice? What's available? Let's say like you have a lot of different types of rooms available to you to practice. What room are you going to open the door to?
I always think a room that feels resonant is the best. Sometimes when you're prepping for something, I think it can be good to play in a really dead space because then when you get into the resonant space, it feels so good.
Right. And for articulation and like hearing really close up the sound.
Yeah, so you don't want like a concert hall to practice in, but I like a big space. I feel like, to me, I think a bigger space just so that you don't feel constricted. I'm such a somatic person and player. Like it's so much about how it feels and how I feel the sound and how it's entering my body and everything. So to me, that's really important. Like a comfortable seat and a good setup. And
the room is part of our instrument. The acoustics, we play reflected sound is what people hear. And so hearing those reflections of sound in an open room is really a good space to aim for, I think, in practice.
Totally. And even thinking about where you put your chair in the room. You know, like I like to sit close to a wall so it can I like to get the immediate feedback for me. But it could be any number of ways. So thinking about kind of how you position yourself is also important.
And in the practice session itself, rotating around, trying new things, finding what feels good, what sounds good. That's all about that's another just practice fundamental that we strive for as well on the horn. It's like what feels good, what sounds good, where are we heading in this practice session?
And it's just, I love that you mentioned fundamentals because
yes.
I feel like we should get into it. So I think one thing that people don't want you to know about, what is it?
Yeah, wait. The horn industry hates this one simple trick.
I love it. But I really do think a lot of people, especially when you're younger, you think I'm going to warm up and then I'm going to practice. But like you mentioned, coming to work early and getting a really good warm up and fundamentals, like that is practice. And for me, there's no distinction between warming up and practicing. The second my horn's out of the case, I'm practicing. I'm not going to just kind of like fart away on it and then think, you know? And as you're warming up, you're already getting yourself ready for that practice you're going to do later.
Getting into that flow
the
state.
playing, yeah. And so that warm up, even if you don't have a lot of external time to practice, if you just have time before a rehearsal or before your band class or whatever it is, if you have 5-10 minutes, like that could be really good quality practice time that you have for yourself. So I really like to think of the warm-up process as also my practice. And I think it's actually some of the most important part of my practice
100%.
personally. So yeah, we like to start the practice session with some fundamentals.
And so let's just say like time is not an object here, but how you separate your practice. I like to really organize things, and I think of it as a little pie chart. My students are familiar with this. And so the pie chart is split into thirds, and 1/3 is your fundamentals, 1/3 is your work, your assignments, your things that you need to play for orchestra,
Shedding.
all of the work, wood shedding. And then the third is fun, and just kind of doing fun sessions on the horn, not necessarily thinking so hard about your sound. We always should be thinking about our sound and trying to make it better, but not being so like hypercritical as you are in the fundamentals and on the work session of your practice. If you can, you have 3 practice sessions a day, like, and splitting it up, that's like my ideal situation. Not necessarily 3 hours, but around your work, your orchestra, your teaching, everything. You have like 20 minutes of fundamentals, 20 minutes of wood shedding, and then another like 20-minute fun session at the very end of a long day. Can really be a nice way to get a lot of good playing in and a lot of good high quality practice day to day.
That's so important. And I feel like the fun part of your practice also really taps into an important part of practice that people forget about, which is the performance mode practice, which is, I find that to be fun, but maybe it wouldn't be everybody's fun. But to, like you said, to take away the critical kind of part of your brain and just play. Just be a performer, be an artist, and be able to spend some time on the instrument doing something like that, where you're not picking it apart, you're not stopping to fix, you're just playing. And I think that's a really important part of our practice that we sometimes forget about.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, let's just talk about those. Let's just split it up into those thirds and kind of just work our way down. We've done when, we've done where, we've done why.
Now the what.
Now the what.
And the how.
And the how. And with whom. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now we're going to discuss how each of us start our practice session and what that looks like.
Yeah. And I think we want to really get into, some tips and tricks and all that to show how to get yourself set up for a really good, successful practice session or day or whatever it is. But it's not just about the warm-up. It's about getting ready and really getting yourself into that headspace and the physical space to have a really good practice session.
Mentality.
So what is the first thing that you are going to do when you sit down and pull your horn out?
I am going to empty my water. No, I am going to try to rid myself of distractions. I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I do use tonal energy for my metronome, and sometimes I do turn on the pitch analysis, and I don't like stare at it and try to like stop the dial, but I do like to get that feedback, and so I will just start buzzing, start my breathing, start my buzzing. I'll go through my horn hippie warm-up routine, which is available in the link below. But I will do breathing, buzzing, then my first notes on the horn, just like some quality tone practice, and then get into some path, some just kind of meditative state. And I'll do all of this. Portamento airflow through the horn.
Oh,
love that. And it's connecting my air to the buzz, connecting the air and the buzz to the sound. And when I'm feeling fully locked in,
really, really important, what you just said.
That's what it is. We should clip that.
Airflow into the buzz into the sound, into the horn. Like it's all about, to me, that progression of the basics, breathing, air, buzzing, and then working our way into music. We don't just sit down, like neither of us ever sit down and just pull out a piece of music and start playing. We don't even pull out a scale and start playing a scale. Like we are always going to start with our buzzing, our breathing, our quality tones, our harmonic slurs. I'm a big fan of non-tongued attack.
And now you've converted me. I love that. I love air attacks, the breath attacks.
It's like I like to really do that in my warm up. I barely use any tonguing in the first probably pretty good chunk of my practice. I'm not really tonguing at all. I'm really focusing on the air and just generating tone and letting it, because I really feel like you do need to warm up your actual muscles and your brain. But
but the warm up for the muscles takes like 5 minutes, technically.
Yeah, exactly.
Physiological,
right? We want it to be. We don't want to just like slam into playing.
100 high Cs.
Especially, we don't want to do that.
Or you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
But especially because, for me, like today, I was feeling really extra puffy and stuffy, and sometimes I do. I have allergies. I know you do too.
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
Girl. It's my allergies.
Man.
But there's a lot of reasons why I might be puffy and stuffy, and I'm chronically dehydrated because of the children I mentioned earlier. I forget that I exist as well. Anyway, so for all those reasons, I like to kind of like work my way into it. And like I said, it's so much about how I feel. I need to make sure I feel like loose and relaxed in the lips and all that. So just giving yourself, not kind of jumping right into anything arduous or anything, too strenuous.
Right.
You want to like give yourself a moment to let things kind of warm up and ease into it. So starting with the air attack, long tones and path, which is the harmonic slur. And it also, like John was saying, like to bring you from your buzz into the sound and into the horn. So the buzz is going to be this very, there's no partials on the buzz, which is one of the best things about it. You can really feel the connection of your air. And you can really hear if your air is consistent, if it's shaky, if the tone isn't clear. Like you're going to hear all that really clearly in your buzz. And it gets you moving through pitch changes without even having to worry about a partial.
It does.
So you're really just focusing on air and vowel shape, as we have extensively discussed in the last few episodes.
And don't get too fixated, because our next episode is going to be buzzing. That is our next episode. But that's why it's so important though to begin your session with the buzz. That's the thesis of the next episode.
We will get into it in the next one.
So it'll be about like troubleshooting with the buzz, and when your students ever have like issues, you just like, hey, let's just
buzz it, sing it and buzz it,
sing it. Because the singing, it's I that's my pet peeve. And then I'm like, oh, dude, do I really got to be like your singing coach right now? And Stu's like, la la la. I'm like, oh, like sing with gusto, with jocoso. Yes. Just sing with feeling, and give me a performance. American Idol. This is American Idol right now.
It is. We will get into this in our. Okay, maybe I'll save it for the practice.
But it's easy. It's way easier when you can sing it well and sing it with like good support and like in a louder volume.
Singing is such a helpful practice tool. So I feel like, are we there yet? Are we there? Like,
are we there? Like, well, so we've warmed up. We've done our like warm up. We're doing our fundamentals. We do like our scales. We separate that. We can organize that however we like.
This is like fundamentals is like patterns, scales, arpeggios, long tones, harmonic slurs. And your pie chart is interesting because for me, my practice is more like 85% fundamentals, and then my last like 10% is my next 10% will be like the work. But it's like because I've done so much work on my fundamentals, it's easier to sort of just get things done quickly.
And that's how the pie chart will shift for a professional player. It'll become more like half of your time is all fundamentals, and then because you're also having fun, and so then they all kind of blend.
More.
As well.
I know I'm doing math right. There's 5% more.
Right. Exactly.
That's when I organize my music.
Yeah, just okay. You know.
No, but yes, those fundamentals, those patterns, and the reason for younger students, and if you are listening, and I hope you are, the reason that those kinds of fundamentals are so important to learn is because you're going to use those patterns that are going to be so second nature to you. The muscle memory will be there, the finger memory of your scales, your patterns. You're going to use those simple patterns and arpeggios and exercises. That is how you are going to practice. When we get into the next segment of troubleshooting and how to actually fix issues, that is what you're going to use primarily in order to fix your issues. And so if you just skate over that stuff or do it in a way where you're not paying attention and you're building bad habits, then guess what? That's going to be in your practice and in your playing right afterwards. So, and also the other reason is that scales and arpeggios is what music is made out of. So
Right.
when you get to a piece of music, like I said, because I do so much fundamental work, when I get a piece of music, like I have already practiced all of that because I did it in my fundamentals. So I don't have to practice it again when I get to the music. So music is made up of scales, you know, harmonic slurs,
intervals.
arpeggios, intervals, all of that, and glissandi.
Right.
And so those are the two, I think, main reasons why the fundamentals are so important, because they are what are going to carry you forward into getting better.
And of course, the occasional extended technique. Do you practice extended techniques?
I should more. I usually save that for when it comes up. These days,
Right.
we don't play very much contemporary music, which is kind of sad.
Ugh, we need to.
We should
to
do
get back to
more. So I'm a little out of practice. But in my freelance stays in New York, I played almost exclusively, contemporary music. And so I did a lot more. It was more a part of my practice routine. But, things like stopped horn.
Oh, yeah.
That's obviously, in there. Trills, if you would even call it that, or multiple tonguing.
Right.
I don't know. Now we're just talking about techniques.
Exactly. But I absolutely love the direction we're going with this. And so we've done our fundamental session, and we've broken it up into, our breathing, buzzing, first notes, path, harmonic slurs, intervals, scales, arpeggios. You could, there's many things that you could do, many ways you could split that up. But as long as you're hitting those 7 or 6 or 7 things in your fundamental session, then you are ready to move on to your work session. And now, how this all depends on your assignments,
And whether you understood.
and whether you understood the assignment.
Yeah, we're a year behind
Oh God,
lingo right now.
we really are. I understood the assignment on that. But when we are working on the work element, how do we work on our work? How do we troubleshoot when this is where we kind of get into troubleshooting and fixing things that need that that wood shedding?
Yeah, so I feel like what we need to do first is give yourself kind of a snapshot of where are we at today. Sometimes you know exactly what it is you need to work on and you can just kind of get right to work. But, sometimes it helps to just pick something to work on or have some, play through something that you are working on. And then what you want to do, then you're really turning on that critical ear. You want to be listening. Okay, before we even get to the work, I think it's important to also talk about sort of how to choose what to practice, because
Yes.
a lot of the time this is
Prioritization.
the most classic thing that people will be like, how do I want to get better at high horn, or I want to get better at low horn. And it's well, how much are you practicing your high range? How much are you playing in the low range? It's not very much. Or for me, how much am I practicing my multiple tonguing? Don't look at me.
Yeah, so you can make a T chart also in that practice journal that you're keeping, which is good, needs improvement, or opportunities for growth. That's a
T-chart
better way.
meaning because I don't know.
Like a T
One
chart.
side is what it is that you need to work on, and the other side is what feels good. And it's really good to kind of just assess. That's kind of a general thing, not necessarily in the moment, but what is it so that you generally know what you're working on. And so when you get to sit down, if you're okay, I have 1 hour or something, what is it I need to practice on? Do I need to really play the excerpts that I already do pretty well, because that's what I'm good at, and I don't like to sound bad even by myself, which is a pit that we all fall into sometimes.
Yes.
You have to really be willing to dig into the stuff that doesn't feel good and that doesn't sound good already. If you want to be better at low playing, you have to play in the low register, even if you're not good at it yet. You have to do it. You have to actually practice it. And you have to gather information. So you first kind of want to pick, what is it that needs work today? And really be honest about it. And don't try to just I'm just going to play what I always play because that's what I'm going to do and I don't know what to do. Like really take a moment and take stock of like what needs improvement. If you have something specific that you're working on that needs improvement, then pull that out. If it's a more general thing, like my low playing needs improvement or my tonguing needs improvement, then that's, a different approach to it. You can pull out a piece of music that will help you do that, or you can just like use scales because like I said, scales are like the great tool for practicing. So kind of figuring out what's going to be on my stand, what's my material sort of to work with. And whether you already know what it is you're going to work on, or if you need to assess.
Can you give us like a story time, like a real world example? Like freshman year Juilliard Danielle.
Oh,
you just got back from your first lesson. What was your assignment? Do you remember your first assignment?
Yes, Mr. Ashby. Love Mr. Ashby. He was classic, so he was coprage. So he was like, do the coprage. I remember that. I remember that we did coprage. I don't remember anything else because I was such a mess in college. I was completely disorganized, no idea what I was doing at all. But
in the big city.
I was a mess. But I did not practice well at all through my entire undergrad. This is why I feel like now I have a really good perspective on practice, because I was so bad at practicing for most of my student life, and I made so many mistakes. And so now it's so easy for me to see the difference between kind of like before I learned how to practice versus after I learned how to practice, and then to current. I would play things repeatedly. I would just sit in my room with whatever coprage I was assigned. We went through lots of different books, but that was the very first one we did. And I would just play it. And then I was usually not that happy with it, but I would just play it again. And the reason why is because I didn't actually know I don't think I even knew.
Why am I working on this?
Right. I don't think I knew why I was working on it. I don't think I knew what was going on. I don't think I actually was able to listen and assess to what even wasn't what I wanted it to be. I don't think I was even listening in that kind of detail. And then if there was something that I did not like, if it came out differently than what I intended, I had not the first clue on how
the toolbox is just empty.
I did not have a toolbox. It was like kind of the like slow it down, okay, I know how to do that.
Oh my God, I was so anti what slowing down is doing what for me? Like that's how I was like for freshman sophomore year.
So funny.
I was just like,
it's so you,
this is
just
so
like
God,
go.
This is not working. Like, why? Oh. Horn, we gotta do a horn censorship sound. But it was, I was very similar to Danielle. I didn't have organization, and during my first year at Rice, I definitely had undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and I would like spend a lot of time in the practice room, but not really be getting anything done. And then my teacher assigned me to do like just on a piece of paper to like write what I did and like how long, and that was kind of the start of it, I think, just so that he could make sure that I was like actually working on like the correct thing, like to see like what the assignments, how they were being represented in my practice overall, but then like also doing like fundamental stuff. And I didn't really have like a book to go from, like the horn hippie warm-up routine, which is what I wish I had when I was a freshman. That would have like really guided my fundamentals and helped me get better even quicker. But then I remember it was like Chantal. I was working on Chantal, and just I was in a small practice room and just fighting with it until I like took the mouthpiece off and started buzzing it. And but it took me forever. I was just like I would play and do reps, and just I would also be assigned like a shoemaker, and I felt like I was always trying to just like learn the piece. And then he would also assign a challenging key as well, so in F and in whatever.
Right.
And so I was always feeling kind of like scrambling to get the music down and like in my ear. At that age, I mean, it's a really good exercise to do that, like an etude a week, because it forces you to be in learn quickly, be in the process of learning so fast. You have to put the time in the practice.
You have to, and it's an easy way to sort of, assess like someone's work. Like
it is
like you either learned it or you didn't. You know,
right.
The other horn stuff is such a long journey, like of your tone and your articulation, like those are long-term changes that are going to happen, but like whether or not you learn the music is like,
Right. And that's a thing that I think a lot of students struggle with too, and just learning it. And then because it's like, okay, I want this to be perfect in F, and then it's not perfect. And then, okay, well, how do I go to the next key? Like, how do I even start learning when I don't even know this thing? But
and I mean, as a teacher, I do tend to like more under assign for that reason. I think
I over assign.
Yeah.
100%.
I think because I often felt overwhelmed by how much material I had. And so I was more focused on getting through all the material, and I kind of lost sight of the longer term playing goals. And when I switched to a practice mode where, for me, again, this is like everyone's different and everyone has a different amount of time and attention and all that. And I was always like a little social girl. Like I wanted to be like out doing, hanging out and having fun. Like I wasn't like in the practice room all day long in high school and stuff. But I feel like I needed to shift my focus away from like all the materials and more of the why. Like you were saying, the whys, the techniques, the toolbox. Like I needed to build the toolbox, and I wasn't at a point where I could build that myself. I needed some guidance on that. So I think that is something we definitely want to sort of like discuss during this episode is like, what are the tools in the toolbox? Because it's so helpful. Like once you understand how to work on problems and how to practice, it just becomes so much more enjoyable. Like I always tell my students, like I used to get so frustrated. I would play something like my etude or whatever, and it wouldn't be what I wanted it to be, or my solo, and it would just like, I would be so frustrated. I'd be so down on myself, so angry. I would want to kick a chair, or like throw a stand or something, which I'm sure I did a few times. I know I kicked the wall a couple times. Or the famous time in 5th grade when I hit my flute on the floor. Yeah, I did it. But I haven't felt like that in years. Like I can't even remember the last time I felt that kind of frustration. Not that I play everything perfectly or that I don't run into any issues, but when I have an issue that comes up, at this point I have my toolbox is very, very organized and bountiful. So I know exactly how to work, and that makes it fun and exciting, and the curiosity is there rather than, I think, the frustration that young people feel around their practice, or the boredom, to be honest. If people are like, practice is boring.
The mundanity.
The mundanity of it all. I think that really has to do with the lack of tools, and that you're just like, what do I do?
Well, first off, everyone watching this, you are getting those tools in your toolbox right now by looking here, by subscribing and learning all that we have to offer. But the biggest thing that made the biggest difference for me as a young player was actually practicing in a group setting. Ooh. So, before classes start at Rice at 9 a.m. or whatever, the horn players would be all up in the building, like in the large rooms, like at 8 a.m. just warming up. And if there was a horn player that had a big room, the other horn players would go in and just
Julia,
I'm going to warm up with you.
We were like all the brass players, 3, 4, 5 to a room. It was like that's just how it was, because there were no practice rooms at Juilliard. So. There were, but essentially there were.
Yeah, they're tiny, right? Everyone's
horrible.
Using them all the
they're
time.
Literally like these thick blue velvet curtains lining the whole windowless room. It was the worst, and they were all full anyway of piano players.
Oh gosh,
horrible.
I can only imagine. But
so we practiced in the dance studios.
Oh yes,
yeah, that's how we practiced. Like 4 to 6 people in a room.
By warming up together, you say, "Oh wow, you're sounding really good on that. How are you doing that? How does she do it?" And asking people what their process is, getting everyone thinking about, "Oh, how am I doing this? How are you?" And having them explain it. It's so good
to have that opportunity. That's why being in school is so cool.
Yes.
And I definitely squandered that in my undergrad because I was so worried about pretending that I didn't need to work on anything, which is hilarious now.
Well, she went to Juilliard,
Juilliard. No, I was so much more concerned with not admitting that I had things to work on, that I never did a collaborative work like that with my peers. And we didn't really have that kind of studio, and maybe it's probably different, maybe it's different now, and maybe it was different for other people who weren't me, but it was it was harder to kind of let down my guard and to be like, hey, you're really good at that thing. Can you tell me how to do that? Or what are you practicing? How do you practice that? I was just in my corner, please don't think I'm bad,
Right.
which is a really common thing I've noticed when I meet students, or when students play for me in a master class, and I'm like, play for me what you actually need help with. Like,
Yes.
be vulnerable, like ask for help, especially with your teachers. Like,
Yes.
and I did that with my own teacher, with Mr. Ashby, who was like the most wonderful man and most wonderful teacher and horn player. But I was so hesitant to show him what I really needed to work on. And so he wasn't able to be the best teacher for me that he could have been, because I was not, I wasn't telling him and showing him what I need. I mean, I'm sure he definitely heard when I knew what I needed to work on. It was no mystery to him, I'm sure. But I could have improved so much faster in that kind of group setting. It's so nice to sort of like have that. And now I feel like we have that more as like as professionals.
Absolutely.
Now.
And it just kind of, that's adding to like the fun session. We would always do like horn karaoke in the horn studio, just like flip on an awesome recording of a European orchestra, push all our slides in and just like pick apart and play, for hours. And so then that would be a practice session, and just listening to each other and saying, oh, wait, that's interesting. Oh, you took a breath there. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Your low register is popping. And listening to other people sound good on the horn also, that's a huge key. And like
is
finding
really
and starting to form your opinion. Wow, that is good. Oh, wow, that's a little rough.
Yeah, what you want to sound like and what you don't want to sound like.
And so that's why it's important to study and listen to a lot of horn recordings and all kinds of different players and orchestras and form those opinions, not just, kind of by rote, okay, I got to learn this, having that stress about it, which hinders a little bit that formation of the musical mind.
Your musical self. It's so funny. I could talk for 1,000 years about college, but just in general, you said something earlier about this, feeling like you're on a timeline. And that is so true, that sometimes we get so caught up in what we should be able to do at this age or that age or this year of school. And schools will do this too to us, where they're like, year one, you do this and you do that and you should be able to, and you play this solo and that or whatever it is. And it's just not everyone's going to enter at the same place. Not everyone's going to be able to do the same things when they get to a program of any kind, any age. And I wish that the journey of learning the horn was more of that it was about learning an instrument and also not just learning the instrument, but finding your musical self. Who are you on the horn? It took me so many years to figure that out, because I was so caught up in what I thought I should be able to do and what other people told me that I should do. And, just sort of finding your own voice on this instrument, which is that's the joy of it in the end. It's not like I love this because I'm good at it. No. Especially on the horn, you're never going to find joy if that's what you're looking for. But if you can kind of has nothing to do with practice, but it does. It does. The group practice and everything is what made me think of it, is just, listening and learning and discovering for yourself who you are and what you want to do on the horn, because that will also inform what you want to work on. There's people out there who are doing the most amazing creative things on the horn, avant-garde horn playing and jazz horn playing, and learning how to play amazing solos over chord changes. I can't do that, and that their practice is not going to look the same as my practice,
right.
So anyway, it's just so important, and I feel like we get really caught up in the rigidity of it all.
Let me pitch this to you. Every practice session is a learning opportunity.
Yes, it is.
If you are able to open your ears, to your sound and think in that constructively critical mindset, you can solve almost every problem by yourself.
Yeah.
But another tool in that toolkit is recording yourself and listening back.
Yes.
Did you ever do that?
Not as much as I probably should have. I do it more now than I ever did before. And when I was doing audition prep, I did a lot of recording. That's probably when I did the most. But I do it all the time now. Now that we have a phone, it's there's no excuse. Right. There's no mini disc.
Oh my gosh,
did you ever have a mini disc? I don't know.
I had a tape recorder.
Oh my god, legit cassette tape.
A cassette tape recorder. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And that would write over it. It wouldn't completely delete the thing underneath, and so you could hear it was
a little hint of your former Phantom.
Right. But now the what do I use? The Roland. I had a Roland Edirol.
I had your old Roland microphone.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
But a lot of the time I just use my iPhone, and I also take a lot of videos because I find it so important. I thought this episode was going to be short, but yeah, right.
Never with us. Never a short episode.
Because one thing I think that's really really helpful, which was one positive of practicing in dance studios at Juilliard, was there were full length mirrors, and the whole wall was a mirror because it's a dance studio. And so I would always be practicing and watching myself in the mirror, and I could see my whole body, which was it's so much to learn from that. And I think practicing in front of the mirror is very crucial. So even now, I should have a mirror in here, but
We'll get one now that we have the
Hornpod
space.
Exactly. We have so much space. But I will also take video of myself when I'm practicing something, because sometimes I like to see, sometimes I'm just curious, like what's going on with my chops here, you know, even if it's something that feels comfortable and I'm doing well, sometimes I'm just interested to see like what is going on, you know, and how am I breathing, and, you know, how do I sound, and what do I look like while I'm playing this? So it's really interesting. So now I do more recording than I used to, but it is so important because it's one of the ways that you can actually like get your own feedback, you know, right away, rather than having to play for someone else.
Right. That's one of my biggest tips. That's one of our biggest tips, I would say, to a young player. Start recording yourself early and listening back. Even if it's just one time a week, that's going to make a huge difference to hear your progression, and save those recordings too, because you never know. You'll look back and be like, wow, okay.
Yeah, the
I really
progress
have
you
grown
make.
from this.
Amazing.
And let's see.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So I think something that John touched on earlier that needs to be brought to the fore is this idea of really learning how to listen to yourself, and learning how to grow and practice that critical ear in so many ways. I remember, you know, in college they called it ear training, or some people call it aural skills, but ear training. And it's like, yes, I can hear, but I need to train my ear to hear a certain way. So this was to hear pitch, interval, intonation, timbre. And so those are the kind of skills that you're kind of building, and how to, you know, be a better listener in your practice session and have that critical ear. Learning what you're listening for, connecting it to your brain so that you're aware of it, so that not just to listen to the recording, but that in the moment you can kind of start to hear things that you can start to modify in your practice session. But you do have to practice that. So a lot of the time with younger kids, I think they're a little bit more lost in some of these practice tools, because they haven't developed all the same sort of like brain to body connections that you have once you're older. So really just starting to practice listening, like, and not just playing, but really like play a note and listen to your breath, listen to how it starts. And it's just it's like mindfulness, like mindful horn playing.
Mindful practice.
Mindful practice, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is real.
But like what you said at the beginning of the episode, coming into a positive space and then getting into that positive head space to get into that flow state, to enter a practice session that is going to be successful.
Yeah.
And
so that you can really start to develop those skills. And it won't come right away necessarily, but
Correct.
the more you do it, the more time you spend listening to yourself in that, and really listening, like, I'm going to listen to my intonation, my articulation, the shape of my note, and then listening to the recordings as well. You'll really start to develop that critical ear. Then the challenge is like, then you get too critical in your ear. Then you have to walk it back a little.
Right. When when you're getting super frustrated with yourself and just, nothing sounds good. Well, then it's time to do a fun session.
Do the fun session. Then you got to
play
move
along
to
with
the
a
fun.
jazz tune, or like play along to the radio.
Yeah, because you can't only have that super critical ear. That's one of my
that will destroy
downfalls.
people. Yeah.
And it's also it's frustrating because I'll go to like a show, like a singer's concert, and I'm like hearing every little thing that's out of tune, and it's not as, it's like, why am I doing this? I need to just be able to walk that back. But that's one of the challenges of professional musician, is that it's hard to turn that off sometimes and just enjoy something and not expect perfection from yourself and others. One of the really niche challenges of being an orchestral musician.
Truly.
But anyway, so you're listening to yourself, you're being mindful, you're starting to really take in what am I hearing, what am I doing? And then we go from there. So I think one of the things we want to be listening for when you're practicing is, like John said, you want to have a goal of like, what do you want to sound like, right? Like that is so important. So as you play, you want to be listening for, do I sound the way I want to sound?
Let's tie to a piece. Let's take Strauss 1. Let's take Strauss 1.
Love it.
You got assigned Strauss 1, and your goal is to get it performance ready. How do you start working? What do you work on first? How do you break this piece apart? This concerto apart? What do you do?
Oh my God, there's a million ways. I would probably, one step of practice is learning music. So let's say this is your very first time playing Strauss 1, which honestly, I didn't play Strauss 1 until I was like a grown up.
And you know what? One thing, when people say like, oh, that's a high school piece. Like, oh, people play that in high school. It's like,
Please.
Excuse you, like professional
Like
musicians
Mozart
play
3,
this. Mozart 3,
it's a Mozart horn concerto.
It's a Mozart horn concerto. Don't like give it to that. You can get better on anything, and you can learn from at any point in your life. You can learn how to play
100%.
something better. So I don't want to hear that. Oh, this is Hunter's Moon. Like. If you pull out Hunter's Moon, it better be spot on in college. But still, it's like you should like treat every piece of music with that respect, and that this is a gorgeous piece that I can definitely improve on and sound better and better by by locking in my practice session.
Totally.
But you're learning
So
Strauss.
we're
So
learning from
you listen
scratch.
first.
Yes.
You listen first. Find a few recordings.
Find some recordings that you like and listen to what you like about them.
Yes.
Then that also starts your ear to familiarize your ear with the intervals.
Yes.
I feel like that's such a monumentally fundamental part of learning a new piece of music on the horn is getting the pitches in your head, in your ear, getting the intervals in your ear. Because when we approach the horn, we have to have at least a pretty clear basic framework of like what we're shooting for as far as how this goes.
Just to recap a little bit, practice as a learning opportunity, listening deeply to yourself while practice. Those are important key components that develop as you grow in your horn playing journey.
And your consistent practice.
And your consistent practice is key to that as well.
Yeah.
Now, we should get into a little bit. So we've talked about the fundamentals.
Yes.
We've talked about work, and we've talked about how to positively and critically approach your playing and making it more goal-oriented. And I just want to take a piece, for example. I just want to say you, for the very first time, are being assigned Strauss Horn Concerto No. 1. Oh. And what do you do first?
So when I'm learning a new piece, if it is available to me, because sometimes it's not, but if it is available, I want to listen to a recording, not just one, but several, maybe 3, 4 different recordings, especially of a piece like Strauss 1, because there's a million, and start just listening to the piece. Familiarize yourself with the piece, hear other people play it, start to figure out how you want to sound playing that piece so that you have something to work towards. So you're not just playing, but that you're like, this is how I want to play this piece. This is the sound I want for this piece. And so I would first start with, listening, familiarizing myself with that. Also because you really want to have the intervals in your ear. Intervals are such a key part of playing the horn, so important. So to really just kind of know how it goes.
Well,
that would be step one.
Well, friend of the pod, Julie Thayer, fourth horn in St. Louis, she has her proven technique for this. She listens once without the music, then second listen with the music, third listen with the music, and take notes. So all the while you're still focused on, you're listening like without eyes and then watching it go by, and then you start taking notes and thinking even more. So it's like a layered element to just the listening.
Just the listening.
And then you get on the horn.
Then you get out that old horn. When I'm learning something new, I will say I think that a mistake that a lot of people make when they're learning a new piece of music is to worry too much about the note accuracy and focus less on the rhythm and time and style and everything else. For me, I do it the opposite because I think the most important thing is the rhythm and the time. I think the most important thing in any piece of music is the rhythm and the time, because if you're not in the right spot, doesn't matter how well you play it, it's wrong. So the most important thing is that you really get that your strong sense of pulse and rhythm are consistent. And this is, I'd say, the number one thing I see in younger players. The number one issue is rhythm, pulse, time. Like, if rhythm is approximated, which is unacceptable.
Yes.
My biggest pet peeve.
It's got to be accurate. Turn on that metronome.
It can be, and it should be, and it has to be. Like, there's no excuse for a 16 16th note to not be a perfectly divided
Thank you.
quarter note into 4 pieces, like,
Right.
or
It's
quintuplet.
wrong.
It's wrong. Or triplet. Like it has an exact place to go, and you can figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
The student, you work with a student, it's like, I know you're doing advanced math. Like, I know you can count to 4 and divide it
Right.
into 4 parts.
Right.
Like, you can do this. So anyway, don't approximate your rhythm. Learn it exactly.
Subdivide.
Subdividing and just like playing in the pulse and in the rhythm. Now, you would probably want to start a little bit under tempo, especially if it's something technical, so that you don't get overwhelmed. But you want to be practicing it in the correct rhythm.
Yes, no
And
matter what.
Yes, no matter what. Like, I feel like that is so important. Not to say that I'm like not thinking about the pitch. It's obviously important and it's part of it, and I'm learning that as well. But my primary focus when I'm learning something new is the rhythms. And I honestly, to me, my primary focus is like stylistic. I want to already be in my note shapes, the character, the sound, the note shapes, the phrasing, like that. For me, that might just be me personally, but to me, that is like goes without saying as I'm learning a piece. Like that has to be there for me, and then like I learn the notes as I go. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's not. I don't know. How do you? Is it different for you?
Went from when I started to where I am now learning new things. So Ruth Gibbs is next on my list. Finally learning that. I'm so excited. The Ruth Gibbs concerto. It's kind of right up my alley with like that, just the high D, like right out of the gate.
You'll nail it.
I know. That's what you got. That's how you got to think about it. But Strauss won. When I first got it, I played through it first. I just like, I don't know how it goes. Let me just play through the notes. Let me just see if I got this. And that's a good use of a fun session to pull out a solo that you haven't played and like just kind of read through it blind. But in terms of the effectiveness, you're trying to work it up to a performance. I would absolutely start with that technique of listening through multiple times and then playing through movement by movement, maybe focusing on one movement a day or a page a day, and then kind of digging deeper and deeper and using that microscope in the practice room, that oral microscope, and digging deep like day to day. I wouldn't try to just like play through the whole thing every single day.
Yeah, that's so important. I think
when I'm learning.
Yes, I think that is so crucial, is breaking it up. And I do the same thing when learning something. I'm not going to just play through the whole thing. I'm going to take a line or two, and depending on the technical difficulty of it. But I'm going to definitely keep it at like a page or a half a page or even less, just to keep it small. I like to do that in general with practice. I like to really like minimize the scope of what I'm practicing so that
chunking.
I can really, chunking. I want to chunk.
Another good component to encoding.
I love that.
I know, I love it. It's so good. Brain, cognitive psychology.
And
how do we learn?
There's other there's more specific practice techniques where I chunk as well, and I love that in different ways.
We need to make this episode a 2-parter. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, your Burning Horn questions. Do you have questions that need answering? Send us an email at Hornpod, that's HORNPOD, at hornhippiemedia.com.
The Hornpod is brought to you by Genghis Barbie. Are you looking for something really fun for the horn player in your life? Look no further than GenghisBarbie.com. You can find sheet music, t-shirts, CDs, and even gift cards for that special someone in your life who would love a little more Barbie in their life. GenghisBarbie.com.
Okay. Oh my gosh, the light behind us went out. Ah! And we are back. And now is the time of the show where we answer your Burning Horn question. Do you have a Burning Horn question? Make sure you drop it in the comments below.
Or send us a DM.
All right, so this Burning Horn question is perfect for today's episode. The question is, JT and Danielle, what is your favorite brand of practice mute?
Well, I'll go first. I don't have one.
Oh.
Meaning I don't have a practice mute or favorite. Sorry, that's me.
Well,
I don't have a use for one in my life right now.
Because you never are in a space where you need to use it because you have,
And I was also like a little shameless when I would like have a hotel for an audition or something. I would just play. I was like, I'm going to play until someone complains because I don't like as much the feeling of it. But I know that a lot of people use practice mutes for like
Right, I mean,
for a
well,
lot of other
sometimes
reasons.
exactly. You
Tell
know,
me
if you're
more.
in
You're-
if you're
that's
in
your-
if
this
you're
is
in an
your
apartment
territory.
and you have to practice and you just
Totally.
cannot find a space
Absolutely.
at your school or your
I used to just like practice into a pillow.
right, that can deaden the sound enough to like not carry out so far. But
That's my favorite brand of practice mute is my
Oh, the pillow. Oh, okay, a Tempur-Pedic.
This is like IKEA couch
oh,
pillow.
IKEA couch. Okay.
Down.
Well, my okay, allergy free.
No.
Ooh. Well, anyways, so I've used a few practice mutes over the years. I highly recommend the Yamaha Silent Brass. You can also use that as like a pickup for electronic music if that's your bag, if you're into that kind of thing. The new ones are a lot lower profile. The old one was like a tube and like stuck out of the bell, but now they're like flat on the bottom, which is such a better design, such a better improvement.
I haven't seen that.
But the feeling of that one is good, but I actually prefer a really cheap option now. It's based on the Okura practice mute. Now the Okuras, I don't like the new Okura practice mute, and I find that they don't fit in my bell like well at all, and they don't really like give that practice mute vibe. It's like a little loud just because it's like such a big mute. It looks like it's more for like a trombone, but I love this mute called the Pampit practice mute, and it's $19.
Yeah.
And actually, let's see, can you get it? Let me see where you can get it because I want to make sure it's not just on Amazon.
Get it. Boo.
Boo, Amazon. Pay your workers, bro. Pampit Music. Yeah, you can buy it on Pampit Music.
Great.
So I love the Pampit practice mute. You can get it on pampitmusic.com. And it's less than $20 is what I got mine for.
Amazing.
And it's super small, super lightweight, and feels really good to play on. It feels very realistic, and that's what that's what I'm looking for in a practice mute. Does it feel good to play on? Does it silence? Were you silent or were you silenced?
Were you silent or were you silenced?
And the practice mute from Pampit, which is designed based on Okura's older model, that is my favorite practice mute to use. So thank you for that burning horn question.
Thanks for making me look bad.
Well.
That's so me, though.
No, but it speaks to like, where is your practice space? Like, where do you live? And
Right.
people live in all kinds of situations, or like the family, or like the kids have gone to bed, and that's the only time you can practice, and so you have to have a practice mute. If you're
Would
not
be
like
better.
working during the day, and practicing during the day already, or if you're in an apartment complex where people are really the walls
really.
are thin, and
it
people
really
are
depends on
annoying.
your
I
neighbors.
had so many bad neighbors.
I got so lucky with my neighbors because in New York, I lived in Queens, and I lived in this apartment building. You could hear everything. Like, it was only a 6-unit building. Like, you could hear everything everywhere. It was like we lived in one room. And so I felt always so bad because I was always playing, and I would be playing like my harmonic series and my fundamentals, and I'd be like
the hard to hear
"Sorry."
kind of stuff.
Yeah, like just a dying cow sound. But then the kid downstairs would like play loud music and stay up till 7 a.m. or something
Right.
and talk on the stoop, and I'd be like, I'm not saying one single thing because you put up with me, I put up with you, and it's an unspoken agreement.
Right.
But that's New York, and I think I got lucky with my apartments there.
New York City.
New York
Center
City.
of the universe. And times are shitty, but I'm pretty sure they can't get worse.
Anywhere else you could possibly go after New York would it be
A pleasure cruise.
Don't know what you're talking
Rent?
I don't
You lived
know
in New York and you don't know
I
Rent?
know. I only know the one. 525,600
minutes.
Wasn't there
Wow.
a duet from Rent that we were gonna do?
No, that was Take Me or Leave Me.
That's not Rent?
That is Rent, but
Oh, okay.
that's
Yeah,
there,
but we were
that
gonna do
is
it,
that's
yeah.
a good that would be a good one to get coached on.
Yeah. I would need coaching.
I
for
would need
that.
it's very
vocally-
high.
Yeah.
Very high for both of us.
I don't know. I'm not a Broadway girly. Yeah,
Wicked?
I know. I mean,
We could
except
do
for
Defying Gravity,
I
but
played
it's more of a-
Wicked
it's more of a solo.
on Broadway, and
Right.
so I know it.
Right.
And obviously now the movies and my children becoming
course.
obsessed with the soundtrack. No, but I'm not a Broadway girly.
No,
I
hey.
feel bad.
No, it's
like I don't know anything.
You're good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of The Hornpod.
Hornpod.
We'll be back in your ears next week with the buzzing episode, and then I think after that we have to do low horn, high horn.
Because we're about to do Beethoven 9.
Because we're about to do Beethoven 9. Oh my gosh, that's going to be such a good episode. And then after that, I mean, we have we'll probably do an audition episode.
Yeah,
There's so many in the line, but those are probably our highest priority.
We are back to it, y'all.
We are back to it, y'all.
Season 2.
Season 2. Leave a comment what episode you want, what topic you want us to cover next. We are so excited to be back in our new studio. We've been speaking so much about all these good practice techniques, and unfortunately, that is the time for today. We want to keep these episodes compact for you, and we have a lot more to discuss. So please tune in next week for part 2. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you in the next one. Bye.